Hello and welcome to The Exchange.
You're going to love today's show as we look at success and how we define success as a culture.
Everyone wants to be successful, but does it open up other problems, and is it all that it's cracked up to be?
The problem with success is... Hold on, that's got to be an error, is it? I think that should read the problem of failure. No? That's correct, is it? Okay. No, I just find it hard to believe. All right. The problem with success is that it often brings more opportunities, better health and more money. Okay, well, I don't see a problem here. Those are all good things. You want me to keep reading? Right? Okay. Success takes you to the next level where you may find yourself with an increased workload, more responsibilities, more stress and more critics. But that does sound like a problem. How do we define success as a culture? And is it all that it's cracked up to be?
Joining us today is consulting psychologist Anna Box. Anna has worked with blue-chip commercial, government and not-for-profit organisations to uncover fresh insights that can be used to build relationships and shape behaviour. Anna, great to have you back on The Exchange.
Thank you very much. Good to be back.
Also joining us today is Brett Johnson, General Manager of Player Development at the AFL Players Association. As a former AFL player, Brett has successfully navigated a career off the field. Good to have you, Brett.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, let's define what culture means by success. Brett?
Yeah, I mean, it is a difficult question. I think in the sporting environment, it's obviously how good you are at your craft on the field, but at the Players Association, we're really big on developing, people first and athletes second, and I think that's important from our point of view. It's not all about just winning on the field.
Okay, Anna?
Yeah, well, similarly, I think one of the biggest problems today is that success is defined a lot by culture and society, whereas we all need to sort of, anchor in and find our own definition of that, and that means that it's different for everyone, I guess.
And do you think the definition of success has changed, Anna, over the years? Yeah,
I'd like to think so. I think we're becoming more and more aware of balance isn't a word that I love to use, to be honest, but I think we're becoming more and more aware of all the different things that you can achieve in life and what it is that makes life meaningful. So for me, it's about meaningful success, and that's really different for everybody. So it's just really about tapping into what sort of, lights you up, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's different for everybody. What are some of the other things that you would say, reasons why people want to be successful? So for in a sporting environment, for example?
I think it's there's almost this hypermasculinity that exists. Again, going back to winning on the field, I think that's it goes back to how successful you are, I think, in the sporting context. But I think we need to change that because it can't be just about that. I think it's also about, I think AFL is a fantastic opportunity and a platform for players to act responsibly, lead courageously, and also change the world for good as well.
Yeah. So it's not just about what they do on the field, it's how they behave off the field as well, probably more so. Yeah,
correct. And I think that's, part of the problem we've had is, this trend towards a high-performance environment in football, and the investment in kind of player development hasn't kept pace, and players then identify themselves as footballers, and then when they do transition out of the game, it's difficult for them because making that transition into another career or even just how to relate to others can be difficult for them.
Anna, would you say that what would you say are the pros and cons of being successful?
Well, it depends what we mean by that,
yes.
I guess. So I think the pros of having meaningful success means that you're living to your values, I guess. For me, it's an opportunity to, first of all, identify your values and what they are, and then to serve them in some sort of way. So if your work allows you to serve your values on a daily or weekly or monthly basis, that's successful. So that sort of stuff does light people up, and that leads to sort of thriving. Whereas if you have a sort of narrower definition of success, I guess, which is really around kind of achievement and what you earn and what position you may rise to, then of course there are pros to that if that's serving your values as well. But the cons to that as well are the sacrifices that you make elsewhere in your life, and interesting things do creep in, and they creep in with footy as well, with the work I do with Brett. And there's sort of a whole wave of what we're calling acquired narcissism, which is sort of, it's not traditional clinical narcissism that's coming from childhood, but it can creep in with executives and athletes, and it can creep in with expectant brides.
Oh, the
Can you
bridezilla.
explain
Yeah.
what
So
you
it's
mean by that?
so it's sort of it's referred to as an acquired situational narcissism, which means it's not necessarily a narcissistic person that's, that's very preoccupied with themselves and very self-centered and self-obsessed, but the situation sort of allows that to happen. So a lot of attention, a lot of preoccupation with how you're coming across and how you're presenting yourself.
So it's all about
It's
me.
attributed,
at
yeah.
all
the
about
moment.
me,
Yeah.
all about me, and this is sort of something that's on the rise that we need to be more and more aware of as well. Yeah.
And of course, you were playing AFL, Australian Football League footy, for 6 years.
Yep,
With
that's right.
Hawthorn. How did you feel in the midst of that success? What were the pros and cons for you?
It's in my dream job. So at the time, it was difficult for me to think about anything else, really. And that's, I think, a big issue that we have in terms of engaging players in this process as well, is they are in their dream job and they come straight out of high school. So, we do have that obligation to help develop them, but we need to engage them in the process as well. And I think there needs to be some thought around how we do that.
What came with success for you personally, though, when you fulfilled your dream by playing AFL? What went with the territory?
Look, it was fantastic. I think, as I said, I enjoyed my job, but also the people around me. They just wanted to talk about footy and what I did, and I guess that kind of emphasised what I was doing, and again how I related to others was all about football and what I was doing.
Yeah.
So, but once I finished, you do get a different perspective, and how you do that earlier whilst guys are in their dream job it's difficult.
I think one of the things you said, you find it difficult to think about anything else. And that's probably, Anna, do you want to speak into that a little bit about that fixation about whatever it is that it can...
Yeah, absolutely. It's all encompassing, isn't it? I mean, when you're
Like
passionate about
brides,
something,
whatever.
Yeah. When you're passionate about something and that's what you get to do for a living, it's absolutely all encompassing. So, from a psychology perspective, what we're concerned about is identity, I guess, and how you define your identity and what your identity is made up of. So when we're working with footy players, we want to make sure that they are identifying with much more than just the guy that kits up every week and hits the field. So it's
And what are some of the ways that you do that? How do you introduce that? When somebody's, this has been the culture, footy, talk footy, live footy, breathe footy.
Yeah, we get them young, don't we? Like we have an induction camp at the start of every season, and we speak to all the new players that are coming through. And one of the first things that we do in wellbeing is speak to them about sort of the different ways to achieve wellbeing, and we ask them to reflect on some of their passions that aren't related to football. And to sort of commit, I guess, to trying to maintain some of those as much as they can when they can. And we send them a postcard sort of halfway through their first season to just remind them of what they committed to, and that could be anything from, dinner with your mates at the pub once a month to a round of golf, or, the fact that you're teaching yourself piano or whatever it is. And we just really encourage them to sort of think and see and feel beyond game day.
Love it.
Yeah.
Great.
It's great. What are some of the opportunities that come with success?
Lots.
And I think an AFL career does provide those opportunities, but it's how we maximise those whilst players are in the game. And I think we talk to players a lot about preparing for life after football, and traditionally that's where a lot of the work's taken place in player development, and it's been a lot about, whether at uni or TAFE, and it's become almost a tick-the-box exercise when there's other areas of a player's life that need to be considered, like wellbeing and their finances and their own personal brand and all those sorts of things. And it needs to be really individualised and more of a holistic approach, because there are fantastic opportunities out there, but I think we need to be more resourceful in spotting those opportunities for players. And just the very nature of getting onto an AFL list, that's success, and getting onto an AFL list does provide those great opportunities for players.
Yeah, which most of the guys who want to play AFL never get onto that list. So for a lot of people, they never actually achieve their success in that part.
I think, Anna, you said something, we get them early. How do we as a community speak into this? Like you're saying, obviously it's from childhood.
Yep. Absolutely. So, I'm a mum of two, a 6 and a 4-year-old, and that's where, reflecting on what you said before about is the definition of success changing, and I think we're becoming a lot more aware of your strengths, tapping into your strengths, and your strengths isn't just what you're good at, it's what lights you up. So it's really important, I guess, to be aware of that. And as a society, it's really important, I think, to tap into people's strengths and then allow people to, exercise them in lots of different ways. I think schools are getting better at that. I think workplaces are getting better at that. Certainly footy's, come a long way in the last 10 years as well. So, yeah, it's really important, I think.
Yeah. We're going to take a break in a moment. Just before we do that, Brett, I'd like to find out from you just very quickly how, when you stopped playing AFL, how did you deal with that kind of, everything you'd wanted to be and you were successful at that, then that finished. How did you deal with the transition?
Well, I continued to play footy at the state league level, so it was kind of a softer transition. I just didn't stop playing football completely. But for the first couple of years, I continued studying at uni full time, so I was able to put my mind to that. So I did have a good balance in that sense, but probably for a couple of years, I probably thought I was above things a little bit. I didn't really, go and get a part-time job or just, jump into things. I just kind of continued just floating along a little bit. And I think that was part of my transition, was just accepting that, I wasn't in the AFL system anymore and had to move on. But it did take me probably a couple of years.
So you just had to kind of work it through in your own mind over the process of time?
Yep, for sure.
Okay. We'll be right back after this break with Street Talk and more.
What does being successful mean to you?
To me, I think having a reasonable business, but having a balanced life also.
Healthy, happy home, full fridge, full wine cabinet.
Being happy, basically, and content.
Living a long and happy, healthy life.
Being happy in what you do, having friends, family, and just enjoying life.
I guess it's a sense of financial security, a sense of happiness in my family and friends' network. Successful is sort of a difficult word to kind of put a phrase on, I guess.
Successful means having a happy, fulfilling life and being satisfied with your life.
I guess I consider myself successful. I'm a single parent of 2 small children and I'm doing a PhD and I'm achieving stuff and getting stuff done.
And how important is it for you to be successful?
I think that's the justification for going into business. Without the success, you wouldn't have the energy to get up in the morning and actually do anything. And I think it is important to be successful, but you can measure success in a number of ways. I don't think it's financial always. I think financial helps, but I think it's, personally for myself, balanced life.
Well, successful in life, yes. Money doesn't really mean much to me as long as I've got the things that make me happy.
Like a full wine cabinet?
Like a full fridge and a full wine cabinet, yeah.
I think as long as you're happy within yourself.
So would your happiness depend on achieving those things?
No. I'm the sort of person that's quite happy to reevaluate on a daily basis, and I'm not going to do something for the sake of it.
Yeah, of course, and not just in every aspect of my life, I want it in my career and my home life and everything like that.
Absolutely, definitely.
Monetary, not so much, as long as I'm happy. It doesn't need to be money. Yeah, happiness depends on your success, and yeah, I guess you're right, yeah.
What makes you happy?
Playing squash, walking my dog, eating fresh fruit and veg. Yeah, and smiling, laughing.
Well, that's great.
Yes.
Welcome back. We're discussing the problem with success with consulting psychologist Anna Box and AFL Players Association Brett Johnson. And Sandra, our Street Talk reporter, welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here. Were you happy and successful out there?
Oh, totally happy and successful. I achieved what I needed to achieve, and I did it.
So for you, success is achieving what you want to do.
Oh, it's having a full wine cabinet.
Or a full fridge.
Or a full fridge.
What kind of jumped out at you from all of those comments?
Well, happiness was the key word that kept on coming in the first question that I asked, and balanced life.
I heard balance a lot.
Yeah, and it was interesting that you mentioned earlier that you don't like the word balance, and I'm actually curious because that's the word that people keep on saying.
It does come up a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think balance is a wonderful thing, but I think if you've got an opportunity to do what you love, which I think would be amazing, I do what I love. I think if you have an opportunity to do what you love, then balance is pretty hard.
And it's a perception because someone else might not think you're balanced, but you're loving it.
Yeah, because and you don't tend to switch off. Like, I combine psychology and thriving with film and design and art. I mean, how fun is that for me? I love it. I love what I do. So when I'm at the cinema, I'm constantly thinking things through, whether I'm at the art gallery. So there's not a switch on and switch off for me. But for me, what's important is that you're present and you're awake to the moment that you're in. So when I'm home with the kids, I'm awake and I'm present there. When I'm at work, I'm awake and I'm present there. So to me, it's really about sort of living in that moment rather than separating the two.
And Brett, Brett, a lot of the things they were saying was very simple. What about for you? How did you find that, like walking the dog and?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it goes to what Anna's talking about, just being present and being really mindful. Again, with me, when I'm at home and away from work, I want to make sure that I'm really present and not thinking about work. So there is a bit of switch off for me. With a young family and so on, and I think that helps then me, I guess, perform better at work as well. So there is a bit of a switch on and off for me, but it's also about being present with what you're doing.
And it's maybe that's the word, when they say balance, what they're actually meaning is being present in whatever they're attending to.
Yeah, I think the days have gone where sort of people clock on and clock off
Although is that
in
a male
job,
thing? Is
but
that
I
a
think
male-woman thing? Because you can do the switch-off thing, and I'm listening to Brett saying he does the switch-off thing, whereas I think girls tend to...
Yeah, I don't mean that I'm constantly thinking about work. I just mean, and I would say the same for both Rob and Jono, that they love what they do. So I'm tipping that they're thinking a little bit about it at some stage.
Yeah,
but
not speaking about it out loud. It's just trying to be very quiet.
But being present in the moment, with the kids and with your mates and with your families, that's the goal.
So being present in the moment, I've got to describe something to you. We're watching an intense thing on TV, and I have to. It's so intense. I have to read a recipe book at the same time to. So
at all the tense bits, I'm right into it and I'm feeling really relaxed, just enjoying the program. Look across and I go, so how's the apple pie recipe coming along?
I have to do that.
So I'm not a multitasker as well.
I can't be that present in something that intense.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
One of the things that really jumped out at me from all of those comments from the people, sorry to interrupt the recipe book discussion here.
Go for it.
Everything about success was very self-centred. It was all about my happiness, my contentment, my balance, my. There was not one person there that mentioned anything beyond themselves.
Well, I think people applied it somewhat when they mentioned the networks around them. But yeah, I understand the idea of contribution and kind of collaboration certainly wasn't there, wasn't.
Well, I guess they would think that maybe having a family and having a successful family, a family that's together, is their view of it, their contribution. That's what I picked up.
Success in life that's beyond yourself.
Yeah, the importance of relationships as well, I think too. That's spoken in football a fair bit. It's at the end of the day, later on in life, you're not going to think so much about the wins and losses. It's going to be more about what kind of father, what kind of brother. That's
whether
what
those relationships are still there, even.
And I've noticed that a lot with sports people recently, actually, getting into the community more, being more overt about it, and about things that matter long term. And I actually like it. I'm enjoying seeing that.
Absolutely. I like the Facebook CEO apparently spoke to everyone on one of their kind of conferences where they gear everyone up and everyone's kind of happy in Facebook land. And she said, look, no one's going to mention that you did a stint at Facebook in your eulogy. It won't come up. So just keep that in mind.
Wow.
And I often say to people, you're sort of, you're working towards your eulogy, not your resume. It's sort of really about reflecting and looking back and what's going to matter at the end of the day.
It's a very good statement.
Thanks.
I'm going to write that down. I'm going to put that on Facebook.
I'm sure I stole
will like it.
I stole it like an artist from someone, I'm sure.
Nothing new.
Sandra, thanks for popping in.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Great. We'll be right back with more of The Exchange right after this. Welcome back. We're discussing the problem with success with Anna Box and Brett Johnson.
Now, Anna, tell us, how can we help people or support people who are dealing with success? I was going to say struggling with success.
Yeah.
And some people do struggle with it.
A lot of people do struggle with it, yeah. So I think it's about perspective for me. It's often about maintaining a perspective and understanding that things are different from another person's viewpoint. So it's about the ability to sort of see things from how somebody else sees them, and then all of a sudden it sort of breaks down that bit of self-importance that can really get in the way, and that's really debilitating stuff. I mean, arrogance is so unattractive.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's it really gets in the way of living a good and rich and meaningful life, I think, when you sort of just assume that you're better than the people around you. So for me, it's about perspective, and it's about understanding not only how you might see me, but also the perspective to understand how something might play up in my life in a week's time, or in a year's time, or in 20 years' time. So it's sort of just about helping people identify their strengths and how they want to tap into those, and a bit of sort of a reality check every now and again, I think. Just a bit of a grounding and...
I mean, part of that is as well that realising that you might be successful in an arena.
Absolutely.
But then, you know, that it takes many different arenas and very successful people in those arenas to make the world go round.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, this program is a whole team of people behind that our audience will never ever see.
Yeah.
But without them, this wouldn't be the success it is.
Yeah,
So,
and that's sort of the case everywhere. So that's about attributing success with the kind of glamour upfront roles, which is a really narrow definition.
Yeah.
I think.
Yes.
It's not taking yourself too seriously as well. Enjoy life, and I think as long as you give it your best, I mean, that's all you can do. And sometimes, you know, things aren't going to fall your way. Sometimes they will. And so for me, it's about not taking yourself too seriously.
And redefining success. I remember as a young mum just thinking, if I get a belly laugh out of my child, that's a successful day.
That's huge. It's gorgeous. I mean, that's the stuff to treasure, isn't it?
I love it when I get a belly laugh out of Christy.
Yes.
It happens very rarely.
Yes. We have different senses of humour.
Totally,
Right. Yeah.
totally. I like what you said a moment ago, and there can come an arrogance with success, and sometimes that's fed in by the people around the successful person that wants to build them up. I think it's really important that we understand how ordinary everybody is, even successful people
Absolutely.
are still very ordinary.
Yeah, human beings first and foremost, and I think it is important that you do surround yourself with people that you do trust, and again it goes to what Anna was saying about perspective, that are prepared to have that hard conversation with you when you are taking yourself too seriously, rather than putting people around you that are just going to say what you want to hear.
It's all in Disney cars. Everything you need to know about success is captured in that movie.
In Disney's cars? Okay.
Yeah.
Please explain.
Yeah, so you can sort of sit down with new footballers and talk to them about, narcissism creeping in and fickle fans that will sort of jump from following one star to another, and, issues with sponsors and mates that aren't really your mates and all that sort of stuff. Or you can just watch Disney Cars and kind of capture it all in a quick 80 minutes with a good soundtrack, and it's all there. The journey that Lightning McQueen goes through is brilliant.
We want to help successful people, we just go there and watch Disney Cars.
Watch
Fantastic.
Disney Cars. It's all there.
And what's the number one theme that springs to mind as you mentioned
Well,
that
it's
movie?
being grounded, and it's just about the importance of real people and sort of letting go of what you assume was important sometimes.
I remember Bear Grylls saying to us one day, there's nothing that grinds him more than when he comes home and he wants toast and a bubble bath, and here's this big guy, and that's what he wants to do.
Eating toast in a bubble bath and playing with his rubber duckies.
And playing with his rubber duckies and his kids in the bath.
Yeah.
Like, no slugs, no bugs, no camel manure,
Yeah, and a lot of what we do at the AFL Players Association is just humanise the guys that play, and we just tell the stories about them beyond game day and share the good stuff on social media and just depict them as the people that they are.
Yeah, and treat them like human beings.
Yeah. Yep.
That's really good. Some great advice. Thank you so much, Brett and Anna, for popping in, joining us on The Exchange. And thank you for watching. Please go to our website for a fact sheet, as well as more information about our show. Hope you can join us next time.
See you soon.